Today we're going to deal with ratios and rates, okay? So the ratio of A to B, there's different ways that you will see it written. One of the ways is you can use the word to, T-O. Why did I do that? I already had it. Oh, no, okay. And another way we can write it is as a fraction. That means the same thing. We're comparing A to B. And then there's a third way it can be written that you'll also see a ratio written, and that's with a colon in between them. A colon B. Now what's really important when we're setting up ratios is, first of all, a ratio is a comparison of two things. Okay? We're comparing something to something else. When we are making that comparison, we have to set it up in the way that they want it compared, first of all. Okay? So if they say they want you to show the comparison of girls to boys in this class right now, the girls would have to be the A value, and the B would have to be the boys. The B would be the number of boys. So if I ask you to give me a ratio girls to boys right now, tell me what that would be. In here, so how many? Let's actually put numbers in there for it. Our A is going to be girls, our B is going to be boys. Cody?
4 to 4.
4 to 4. And if I say to you, give me the ratio of boys to girls, what would it be? 4 to 4, because they're equal amounts, so it's really just, it's the same. Okay? Now, if Julia was present today, and we were talking about girl students and boy students, if Julia was here, what would be the ratio of girls to boys? 5 to 4, because there would be 5 girls and 4 boys. What if I instead said I want you to give me the ratio of boys to girls? Then it'd be 4 to 5 or 4/5. So the comparison matters how we're comparing, because if we compare girls to boys and we have 5 to 4, that means something different than if we're comparing boys to girls and we have 4 to 5. One shows us that there are definitely more girls than boys, and the other one shows us that there are definitely less boys than there are girls. So we want to make sure we make the comparison correctly. Okay, so let's set up the ratio relationship for this. Your football team won 8 out of 15 games. What was the team's ratio of wins to losses? Will you take your pencil right now and just first of all circle that? What is the ratio of wins to losses? Now, ratios are like the division problem in math, and order matters in division, so we have to compare them exactly in that order. Wins to losses. Okay? Well, do we know how many wins there are? Okay, how many are there? 8. Do we know how many losses there are? How many are there? 7, but how did you get that? Because I don't see a 7 in this problem anywhere. Yeah, so we first have to find the number of losses by taking 15 and subtract the total number of games that they played and subtract those 8 that they won, and the leftover is 7. So now we know how many they lost, because we have to compare wins to losses. So here's how our order gets set up in that. Wins goes first, losses follows. So now we can put our 8 for wins, our 7 for losses. And if it can be simplified, we would simplify it before we state what the win to loss ratio is. Can that be simplified? No, it can't. We don't change it to a mixed number, because then we lose the comparison. Okay? We don't want to change it to a mixed number. Leave it as a simplified improper fraction like we did in the homework for today. Okay? Now, when we were comparing without Julia here, just you students that are here right now today, if we said there were 4 girls to 4 boys, can that be simplified? Yes. 4 over 4? What would it be simplified to? Okay, but to keep the comparison, what would we simplify it to? 1 over 1. 1 to 1. So basically we would be saying for every girl there is a boy. For every girl in this class there's a boy. 1 to 1 ratio. So sometimes when we simplify it, it just kind of makes a little bit better sense. Okay, sometimes ratios can be simplified, like I was just talking about. So here we have the basketball team won 12 games, lost 12 games, and won 16. Find the ratio of wins to losses. So here's what we're going to do before we even set you either do it where you write the words and then set it equal and do the numbers, or you just you put the words in it right away. So let's do it this way. Let's say if we have to do win, what are we going to put upstairs? 16. So then we're going to put 16 wins. Because we want to make sure that we're setting it up in the order we're supposed to. And then to losses, how many lost? 12. This time we didn't have to figure out. So we had 16 wins to 12 losses. Then can that be simplified? So anything that goes into 16, that also goes into 12. 4, okay? So 4, we're going to divide 16 by 4, and we're going to get what? 4. So now we have 4 wins and 3 losses, because 12 divided by 4 is 3. So our ratio is 4 wins to 3 losses. Okay. Therefore, that means basically now, instead of saying for every 12 or 16 games they won, they lost 12. We can now state it simpler than that. For every, how many wins? In simpler terms, how many wins? 4. For every 4 wins, there were how many losses? 3 losses. Every time they won 4 games, they also lost 3. Simpler terms means the same thing really as for every time they won 16 games, they lost 12. But this simplifies it. Okay, so let's do some simplifying of some comparisons where we don't have any idea what the numbers are representing. 9 to 72. Let's first start it out as a fraction. 9 to 72. Order matters. You don't put the big one on top because it looks better. Okay, can that be simplified? No, what can that be simplified? Okay, what can I simplify it with? What can I divide both of them by? 9, okay. So we're going to divide by 9.
Should you be simplifying all of these?
Yep. We just don't want to simplify them to mixed numbers or to whole numbers. We want to leave them as a comparison, okay? So what's this one simplified to then? 1/8, 1 over 8. 9 divided by 9, 1. 72 divided by 9, 8. So for every, if the comparison originally was for every 9 of something, there's 72 of the other, we can say that in simpler terms is for every 1 of it, that something, there's 8 of the other. Just simpler terms. Okay, you go ahead and simplify 36 over 60. It's already set up in fraction format for us. Okay, Aurora, what'd you divide by? 6, okay. So they're both divisible by 6, so then 36 divided by 6 is what, class? 6. Okay, and 60 divided by 6 is 10. Okay. Are we done? No, we can simplify it some more. Sometimes we can keep going, and we have to if we still can. They're even numbers, so we know for sure they're both divisible by what? 2. Is that the biggest number you think they're divisible by right now? 6 and 10? Yeah, I think so. I don't think there's anything bigger than that it's going to go into both of them. So 6 divided by 2, 3. 10 divided by 2, 5. Okay. So 36 over 60 really means the same thing as 3 over 5. So yes, we are going to simplify our ratios when they can be simplified. So anybody got any questions about what we've done so far?
So am I going to simplify by the biggest sum and the smallest number? Because if you do the smallest number, the same number, it doesn't really matter.
Doesn't matter, as long as you get it down to the simplified answer in the end. Anybody in here recognize right away that that was divisible by They were both divisible by 12. Do you know your multiples of 12? Yeah, they're both, 36 is a multiple of 12, 60 is a multiple of 12. 36 divided by 12 is 3, and 60 divided by 12 is 5. So we could have gotten there even, quicker, but it doesn't matter if it takes us 2-3 steps to get there. Okay, let's go to the back side now. Let's talk about rates. A rate is really a ratio, okay, first of all. It started out as a ratio, I should say, but then we're going to divide it out and get, it can be a whole number, it could be a decimal, it doesn't necessarily have to stay as a fraction. So, if A and B are measured in different units, okay, so far we've been talking about ratios where the units are really the same. We're comparing games to games, people to people, okay? Those are same units. If we have ratios though, if A and B are measured in different units, then our ratio is called a rate. And if we typically, in our everyday language, when we talk about rates, we talk about them as unit rates. Would you put a box around that? Typically, this is where we do our simplifying for rates. We change them into unit rates. And a unit rate is a rate per one given unit. So when we talk about it, when we say our comparison, it's per one of something. Can anybody think of an example of a rate? And let's do it as a unit rate. Cody?
For every one star there, or for every one galaxy there is 1,000 stars.
Okay, so how would we state that though if we wanted it to be stated as a unit rate? For every 1,000 stars there is a galaxy. So 1,000 stars per galaxy, right? Okay. Devontae?
For every mile you go, for every hour it's 60 miles.
Okay. So how would we state that? With the one being downstairs. 60 miles per hour, right? 60 miles per 1 hour. 60 miles per hour. 1,000 stars per galaxy. What was yours, Noah?
For every 50 miles you drive, there is one gas station.
Okay, for every 50 miles, there's one gas station, so it would be 50 miles per gas station. Okay, Cody,
For every friend there is a foe.
for every friend, there is a foe. Is that true?
It can be.
It can be, but do we know that for sure? Okay, if we could be more specific, maybe. Anybody in here have a job? Yeah, a few of you do. How do you get paid?
By hour.
By the hour, don't you? Yeah, you get so many dollars per hour, okay? You probably don't get paid like I do, salary, where it's so much per month, but rather you guys get paid by the hour, okay? So, anybody want to offer up how much they get paid by hour? Cody? Per hour? You get $11 per hour. Woo! That's a good job.
Sweet.
Noah?
There's a job I want for a summer, and it can pay up to $120 a week.
$120 a week? Holy cow, how many hours are you going to work for that week though?
I don't know.
Oh, 'cause that might, if it's $120 per week, it sounds like a really good deal right now, doesn't it? But if you gotta work 120 hours that week, how much would you get paid per hour? $1. Yeah. So if you had to work 60 hours, you'd only get paid $2 per hour. So sounds like a good deal when it's stated like that, but it might not be as good of a deal once you know how many hours you actually have to work that week. Okay, Cody?
When I'm working construction on Bible, I work 8 hours a day for 7 days a week.
Okay, 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you get paid a lump sum at the end of the week? Okay.
I love no one to ask that.
Oh, but you're still getting paid by the hour, okay, you're still getting paid by the hour. So that could be stated two ways. You could say, I make $11 an hour, or I make this many dollars per week, like how Noah was getting it, right? So, how about, do any of your parents have any concern, or maybe you you have your own car, are you concerned about how many miles per gallon you get? I mean, do you wanna drive a vehicle that's only getting you about 10 miles per gallon? Back when gasoline was getting close to $4 a gallon, now it's back down there again. But you might rather have a vehicle that gets at least 20 miles per gallon, or 30 even would be even better, right? Okay, so let's just show an example of, my car gets about, on a good day, 20 miles per gallon. So 20 miles for 1 gallon of gas. So when I write that as a unit rate, that's it written out in words because it's per one given unit. I get 20 miles for 1 gallon of gasoline. We would show it, instead of 20 to 1, we would show it like this, 20 miles per gallon. So we don't show the 1 in a unit rate. And we named a bunch of unit rates. So when we talk about, like, Cody getting paid $11 per hour, we don't put the 1 hour, we just put $11 per hour. Okay, let's find the unit rate here. We have a plane that flies 1,200 miles in 4 hours. First of all, the first thing you always got to decide is, does it make more sense? You got to decide what kind of unit do you want to be. Do you want the miles to be? Do you want it to be per 1 mile, or do you want it to be per 1 hour? So in this case, would it make more sense to do it miles per hour or hours per mile? Josie?
Oh,
Did you have a question?
it probably doesn't have really much anything to do with this, but isn't it illegal to pay someone over 8 or under 18 $11? Isn't like the highest $7.50 or 8
I don't know.
or something?
I don't know if I can answer that question. I know there's a minimum. I know there's a minimum, I don't know that there's a maximum.
I mean, I thought at least
Yeah.
under 16.
No, I don't know that there's a maximum. I think there's just a minimum that you have to pay. But I don't think they can regulate how much you can pay somebody. That's it. I'm not aware of that when I owned the grocery store for 20 years, so unless that law's changed. Okay, so what do you think we should do? Should we change this to miles? Should we do it as miles per hour, or should we do it as hours per mile? Which one makes more sense? Miles per hour makes more sense, doesn't it? Let's circle that one. So if we're going to do it miles per hour, that means in our ratio, the miles have to be upstairs and the hours have to be downstairs. So we're going to put our 1,200 miles up and our 4 hours down. And we're actually going to divide this out instead of just simplify it as a fraction. We're going to show this work. Before you use your calculator, show what you're going to put into your calculator. You're going to put 1,200 divided by 4. And if you can't do it in your head, you do need your calculator, then you can key that into your calculator and get it. So what is 1,200 divided by 4? Ella?
300.
300. And this is 300. Now we put a label on it. Once we divide by that bottom number, that changes that to 1. Okay? So in other words, another way to look at it is this. 4 goes into itself once. It goes into 1,200 300 times. 300 per 1. So 300 miles per 1 hour. How are we going to write that? 3 miles per hour. Yeah, we're going to call that 300. And you must have labels on your rates. You must have labels on your rates. What does that 300 tell us? It tells us this plane was flying at 300 miles per hour. Okay, let's look at our next one. You mow 3 lawns and you earn $45. Okay, we need to change that into a unit rate. Does it make more sense to say lawns per $1? Or does it make more sense to say dollars per 1 lawn?
$1 per 1 lawn.
Yeah, that seems to make more sense, doesn't it? How much would it cost how much would you get paid for every lawn that you mow? Not how many lawns you gotta mow for $1. That makes more sense to say it dollars per lawn. So that means we're gonna put the $45 upstairs, the 3 lawns downstairs, and in reality, what we're going to try and figure out is how many times can 3 go into 45 because we want to change that denominator to 1. So Cody?
15 times.
Okay, so 45 divided by 3 is 15. And I said you can't write a rate without a label, so what would the label be for this one, Noah?
$15 per long.
$15, and sometimes we can use the slash bar as our per, so $15 per lawn. We don't have to, you can put 1 in front of that lawn if you want, but typically you would not see it written that way. So you get paid $15 for every lawn that you mow. Okay, you try and set up the last one. You decide which makes more sense, to do cards per dollar or dollars per card. And then you set up your ratio accordingly and simplify it down to a unit rate.
So you said that the biggest number is 1 doesn't make the top.
Nope, I didn't say the biggest number.
No, I
always.
said, so you said that it's not.
Oh, yes, the biggest number doesn't necessarily always have to be on the top, that's right. We put the one on top that makes sense in the end. When you're done, see if you and I are on the same page and you decide that. But if I get 2.5, I'm not going to leave it as 2.5 because what is that 2.5?
$2.
It's money, so it's $2.50. So I'm going to put a 0 behind that 5, and I'm going to put a dollar sign in front of it, and I'm going to say $2.50 per
Baseball
card, yeah, or baseball card. Okay. Now, let's just explore what would happen if we turn that around. What if we put the 6 cards on top of the $15 downstairs? So then instead, what we would have is 6 over the 15, which would mean we'd be taking 6 divided by 15. Can anybody tell me what that would come out to?
5.2.
No. 0.4. This would come out to 0.4, and the cards are upstairs, so this is 0.4 cards per $1. Does that make sense? Is that a good way to state it? No. 4/10 of a card. You're going to go to the store, and if you only have $1 to spend, they're going to take a card and they're going to rip it so that you get 2/5 of the card, and they're going to say, here. Is that what they're going to do? No. So we got to make sure, it's really important that when you're setting up your ratio to get your unit rate, you have something that's going to make good sense, okay? Okay, go ahead and get out a sheet of loose leaf paper and carefully write down the problems you're going to do. You only have 7 to do.
Same question.